You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hey, this is John Preston, Marine Combat Veteran and Pacific Records recording artist. Just reaching out to have you check out our new album, Battle Cry, Songs of America's Heroes, an album featuring phenomenal other combat veteran artists like Scott Brown of the Scooter Brown Band, Ryan Weaver, Rowdy Johnson, just an incredible mix of people. This is all veterans telling our stories and our lives, and we're giving 100% of our proceeds to the Valkyrie Initiative to help veterans and first responders integrate back into society. I myself have battled with post-traumatic stress for many years and lost my own brother, a Marine Corps veteran, to suicide. I ask that you step with us and make this happen. We are in pre-order right now and release on March 17th. Go to iTunes, go to Amazon, buy. We plan on making the charts and making it at a very high level, and your support right now makes a difference. This is the release of my new song, Superman Falls, which is actually about the loss of my own brother, which happened last year, and I would love for everyone to check it out, to listen, and hopefully it'll make a difference in many lives.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687. 8687.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Sometimes riders feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
Here's George Foreman with InventHelp.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
To get your free inventor's information, call 1-800-353-6490. That's 1-800-353-6490. Again, 1-800-353-6490.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
My name is Jessie. I'm a United States Special Forces widow. This gives me a unique perspective on the world around us. If you're willing to listen, I'll tell you how I see it, and I won't pull any punches. This is my POV, which stands for Point of View.
Alright, this is Jessie. How y'all doing out there tonight? You know I miss you when we're not talking. What, you don't believe me? I promise I miss you when we're not talking. Okay, I've got some of the usual suspects today. I've also got some different stuff. What's that, host kitty? Yeah, you miss them too when you're not meowing or hissing. I got it. I got you covered, host kitty. I got you covered. So, I've got some of your usual suspects today. I've also got a few different areas I don't always get to, but I feel they need just as much coverage, but sometimes there is just too much going on to get there. I'll do my best, folks. But you try covering the entire globe in 1 hour. That's a challenge, folks. Well, everything except the U.S., which, trust me, that's a hot spot all by itself. Now, couple of notes. Please, please, please. Please, be sure and check out the album that we're promoting, the Battlefield Stories album. It is, I've already got it, I've listened to it, and it is absolutely amazing. In fact, I may play part of Superman Falls for you tonight. I've been using the chorus as a bumper. Now, just as a reminder, folks, the Department of Defense has put out a press release naming the most recent casualty. For those regular listeners, you know that means we'll be ending the show on taps. And for those of you new to the show, that means the last thing you will hear will be me reading out the official notification, and then I will be starting taps, and the show will end when on the last note of taps. I will not come back and speak with you at all. And just as a reminder, folks, I am in the KLRNRadio.com chat room. You can join me there. Just go to the website, KLRNRadio.com, and click on any of the several links labeled chat. And there's a player right on the same page, so you can listen and interact with me all in one spot. All right. Moving right along. Yep, that's the show prep. You know it's there. I've already got my last story. And I always hate, I can't say I enjoy it when I already know my last story at 8 o'clock in the morning, before I've even really done any serious news checks. It just goes to show how insane some of it is. It really does. I mean, I love our men and women of the armed forces. Anybody who knows me or has listened to this show for any length of time, you know that. Yeah, you do. So my support for them is absolutely unwavering. And it always kind of hurts when I have to end the show on taps. But it's my way of honoring their giving of their last full measure. And they give us the right to send out crazy tweets, speak our mind, and do what we do every day and sleep under a blanket of peace at night because rough men with rifles stand ready. To protect us. So, I thank you all for tuning in tonight. It's been quite a day as always. Alright, let's get some news in before I gotta take that commercial break and pay them bills. As you know, if you listened to last night's show, it was North-South Korea. A lot of chaos on the Korean Peninsula. Well, I've got an update on that one. The ousted North Korean leader Park Geun-hye was arrested on corruption charges just 3 weeks after South Korean President Park Geun-hye was formally ousted from power. She has been arrested for her role in a scandal that led to her impeachment. A district court in Seoul issued the warrant early on Friday local time, hours after the disgraced politician appeared before the court for questioning. Park's marathon warrant request hearing Thursday lasted nearly 9. Yes, repeat, 9 hours. Now, for those of you who don't know, she was questioned a couple of days before that for like 14 hours. So she's been talked to a lot. And this warrant request hearing, excuse me, it just goes to show what happens when I don't take my allergy meds. This warrant request hearing was the longest in South Korean history for such a hearing. Park faces 13 charges in total, including bribery, abuse of power, and the leaking of state secrets. She can be held in jail for up to 20 days as the investigation unfolds. I bet she's feeling her life sounds a bit like this right now. All right. Park had been immune from criminal prosecution while in office, and she'd repeatedly refused to be questioned by special prosecutors. But after South Korea's top court affirmed her impeachment by lawmakers earlier this month, Park was removed from the post, and prosecutors seized on the opportunity. The case stems from the same sprawling scandal that ensnared the acting head of the country's biggest conglomerate and world-leading smartphone czar, Samsung. Park is accused of helping extort some $38 million from Samsung and a total of $70 million from South Korean companies for the private slush fund of her friend and confidant, Choi Sun-sil. Now, what makes this story even more ironic, folks, is that she has been taken to the same detention center. So she's in the same jail where Samsung's de facto head, Jay Lee, is also being held, and where Choi is being held. So that's quite a fascinating turn of events. Now, for those of you who live under a rock, you may or may not know that NATO changed the date of one of their meetings. It's going to be happening tomorrow. Let's take a listen to the audio clip.
Good afternoon. Allied foreign ministers will meet tomorrow to address NATO's adaptation to a changing security environment. We will reaffirm the vital bond between Europe and North America on which our security relies, and pave the way for the Brussels meeting of NATO's heads of state and government on the 25th of May.
All right, that wasn't quite the audio clip I had. Let me see. I do have the proper audio queued up, so let's take a quick listen to this as to why they changed the meeting and why they felt it was so vitally important. And I kind of agree with them. So let's take a little listen.
You are right that we changed the date. The original plan was to have a foreign ministerial meeting on the 5th and the 6th of April. It became obvious that that didn't work for Secretary Tillerson. And then I think it's a sign of the strong transatlantic unity and the flexibility of our alliance that we were able to find a new date which fits all the 28 foreign ministers of the alliance. They are all very busy. But they agreed that we changed the date because to have Secretary Tillerson here as a new Secretary of State in the United States to participate in a NATO meeting in Brussels sends a clear signal about transatlantic unity and also the importance that the United States attaches to the security guarantees for Europe and to NATO. So I'm looking forward to the meeting tomorrow.
All right, so they were going to have the meeting at a different time. They did reschedule it because of Tillerson, but all 20, they felt it was so important to have Tillerson there. One, because he's the new Secretary of State. Two, guys, there hasn't been an ambassador to NATO appointed. What, you didn't know we have an ambassador to NATO? You live under a rock? We got an ambassador to just about everything, folks. If we're a member of it, we have an ambassador to it. Just get that straight. So they felt it was that important that they wanted Tillerson there. They were willing to uproot their schedules and make it work. Now, I kind of like that, and I kind of got to say, it's a very interesting turn of events. I don't know that a NATO meeting has ever been rescheduled over one dignitary before. I'd have to do some research on that, and I did not have time. Now, I'm mixing it up a little tonight because, well, I don't always stay in order, folks, and you know that. You know that. Come on. If you have ever listened to this show, you know I do a little bit of bouncing around and keeping you on your toes. Now, we haven't talked much about it, but the Ukraine has been in the news lately. So, I've got a couple of audio clips, and we will discuss the situation in the Ukraine. All right, let's take a listen to the audio clip about the Ukrainian ceasefire. Such as it is.
The ceasefire is not respected, so therefore it is important to do everything we can to make sure that the ceasefire again is respected. So we have a ceasefire on paper, but it doesn't function in reality. For me, that's not an argument against having a ceasefire, but it's an argument in favor of making sure that we do our utmost to make sure that the ceasefire is respected on the ground. And the best way to do that is to make sure that the international observers have full access to the area, partly to inspect the ceasefire, but also partly to inspect that the heavy weapons are withdrawn from the contact line. So it's not easy, and there have been many disappointments, but at the same time I can't see any other way to a peaceful solution of the conflict in eastern Ukraine than the full implementation of the Minsk agreements. But you are right, the ceasefire is not functioning.
All right, so that was the Secretary of Secretary General of NATO, admitting the ceasefire in Ukraine sounds a little more like this than, hang on, let me find it, than this. Yes, it sounds a little bit more like that. It's supposed to sound like this. So I'd say nobody is holding up their end of the deal. Now, NATO's chief also says the Allies and Russia remain at loggerheads over the conflict in Ukraine, but have exchanged briefings on their troop movements elsewhere in Europe to help ease tension. Hans Stoltenberg said the Allies and Russia continue to have clear disagreements on the crisis in and around the Ukraine. And he said NATO urged Russia to use its significant influence on the militants in eastern Ukraine to get them to respect their obligations amid continued fighting and constant ceasefire violations. Russia briefed the ambassadors about new troop deployments near its western border, while NATO gave an update on forces being deployed to the Baltic states and Poland. Now, those of you that don't know, the U.S. also has troops over in that area conducting exercises. I believe those exercises have about come to an end. This is also in conjunction with our exercises where else, folks? South Korea. Not to mention the chaos in the Middle East. And we're going to sum up this whole thing as chaos in the Middle East. All right, folks. We got to pay them bills. So, just as a reminder, you can follow me on Twitter at Jessies POV. I have a Facebook page, Jessies POV. Or you can follow the show page, KLRNRadio on Facebook. And on that note, I will see you on the other
side. You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hey, this is John Preston, Marine Combat Veteran and Pacific Records recording artist. Just reaching out to have you check out our new album, Battle Cry, Songs of America's Heroes, an album featuring phenomenal other combat veteran artists like Scott Brown of the Scooter Brown Band, Ryan Weaver, Rowdy Johnson, just an incredible mix of people. This is all veterans telling our stories and our lives, and we're giving 100% of our proceeds to the Valkyrie Initiative to help veterans and first responders integrate back into society. I myself have battled with post-traumatic stress for many years and lost my own brother, a Marine Corps veteran, to suicide. I ask that you step with us and make this happen. We are in pre-order right now and release on March 17th. Go to iTunes, go to Amazon, buy. We plan on making the charts and making it at a very high level, and your support right now makes a difference. This is the release of my new song, Superman Falls, which is actually about the loss of my own brother, which happened last year, and I would love for everyone to check it out, to listen, and hopefully it'll make a difference in many lives.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Sometimes riders feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
Here's George Foreman with InventHelp.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
Get your free inventor's information. Call 1-800-353-6490. That's 1-800-353-6490. Again, 1-800-353-6490.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
For those of you just tuning in for the first time tonight, that was the chorus to Superman Falls off the Battle Cries album. Now, we have a link to the purchase of that album on Amazon right on our chat page. I know, we need to get it over to the advertisers and affiliates section. Maybe I'll take the 10 minutes and do that when I get off the air. Because, well, those of you know I've mentioned on the air that I kind of double as webmaster. What can I say? Now, let's talk Mosul. And this story was sent out, I believe, by a cell phone or satellite phone. I'm not sure. I picked it up on at least a couple of outlets, so I'm not going to signify any specific one. All right, you know the series of airstrikes that's under investigation by both the U.S. and Iraqi governments because of the large number of civilian casualties? Well, I've got a tentative, probably preliminary body count. And it's pretty gruesome, folks. It was 141 bodies that have been recovered at the site of the March 17th airstrike. And Colonel Mohammed Shamari, head of Iraqi civil forces, has said there are still bodies under the rubble. Now, warning, 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 tissue alert. This story focuses on a 4-year-old girl, Hawara. They lived in a row house where the houses all share a common wall. They're all connected and they have a wall in common, or 2 walls. And the houses were interconnected further by the wall by what they're calling, I'm going to call them mouse holes or rat holes. And those are holes carved out of the walls that are about 40 centimeters wide and 100 centimeters high. That's about 15 inches wide, 39 inches high, which allows Daesh fighters to move undetected. Now, for those of you who don't know, I usually use the term Daesh on this show because ISIS hates it. It's a Middle Eastern acronym and they don't like it. So that is your show host's preference. The tunnels also offered the families a shelter. Around 30 people, including women and children, sought refuge in a single home at one end of the street. Before the fighting broke out, Hawara, along with her mother, 2 refugees, used the holes to move through 3 buildings and return to their house to bake bread, wash, and grab some more clothes. Well, there were about a dozen Daesh fighters at the intersection. Soon, shooting intensified, and then the airstrikes started. Well, his home was one of 3 that was leveled. Yes, his daughter was still inside. And he heard her pleas. They got her out. And he ran into some Daesh fighters. He begged and pleaded to be able to leave to go get his daughter medical attention. They wouldn't do it. So he said, let me go further into Daesh territory. They said, no, we need you here because we are using civilians as human shields. Daesh admitted to this Iraqi family, what was left of this Iraqi family, that they were being used as a human shield. Now, I'm going to give myself one shot to pull up an old audio clip. So you're going to have to bear with me for a second while I look for it, but this is not the first we have heard of Daesh using human shields. Not even close. Okay? This is not even close. I'm looking to see if I can find it. Give me just one more second here. If I don't find it in a second, I will move on. But I have to say, unfortunately, it sickens me. However, it is a horrific practice that is practiced by many. Now, I couldn't find that audio clip, but I found one of my favorite one about Daesh.
The enemy is completely surrounded in West Mosul, and those who do not surrender to the Iraqi security forces will be killed there.
I think those are pretty strong fighting words, if I do say so myself. Now, I don't want to read more stories about young children killed. But unfortunately, that's the way these barbaric animals that people call humans work. They use whatever they have handy. And that includes human shields. And it sickens me to no end to think of these people being used as human shields. I mean, I can't even begin to comprehend the human shield factor. And Daesh is an absolutely evil, atrocious group. And I have to say this, they deserve no quarter. So I'm kind of glad that they're going with the skip that. You want to hang out and not surrender? You're going down. I don't like to think of people being caught in the middle, but I think this audio clip may speak to it. Let's take a quick listen. It's an older clip.
I don't know if you know it, but they're enlisting adolescents and handicapped people to do their bidding with suicide vehicle-borne IEDs, and even arming adolescents and having them stay and remain in the vicinity of indirect firing platforms. I've even had one report of a child being chained to an artillery piece.
Yes, that's the kind of animals our men and women are over there helping the Iraqis rid the earth of. And that is a very animal move. There is nothing good about that. There's nothing pleasant about that. And there's nothing noble about using children, adolescents, and chaining people to artillery or behind the wheels of vehicle-borne improvised explosive devices. Now, this has been described as the deadliest urban combat since World War II. Yes, you heard me. Deadliest urban combat. U.S.-backed Iraqi forces battling Daesh to liberate Mosul are suffering heavy casualties in the deadliest urban combat since World War II, according to top U.S. commanders for the Middle East. Joseph Votel, the head of U.S. Central Command, said that 774 Iraqi troops were killed and 4,600 wounded since the Mosul offensive began in October. Tens of thousands of Iraqi troops are battling several thousand Daesh militants holed up in their last major stronghold in Iraq. The casualty statistics have been released for the very first time. Now, the sheer numbers indicate the difficulty of the fighting. And now they're in a very densely populated area where militants have had several years to build up complex defenses. And the willingness of the Iraqi forces to press ahead with the offensive despite heavy casualties is remarkable. After they collapsed nearly 3 years ago when Daesh invaded. If you remember, Daesh swept in from Syria, capturing Mosul in June of 2014. And then, of course, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi used the Grand Mosque as a prop to stage his famous caliphate speech. Now, I haven't seen any reports on the alleged whereabouts of Baghdadi or any of the leaders, but I suspect there's none left in Mosul, because Mosul sounds a lot like this right now. Yep. And it's not a pretty sight, folks. It really isn't. Now, the Iraqis are a professional force, and they are putting themselves in the line of fire in order to try and protect civilians. However, unfortunately, when the civilians are being forced into buildings where the Daesh fighters are using those buildings to fire on the Iraqi security forces and the other militias participating, even with precision munitions, it's difficult to use air and artillery power in a defense in such a dense urban battle. Much of the fighting falls on the shoulders of the individual soldiers, who have to clear this city block by block and house by house. Iraq's elite counterterrorism troops have been bearing the brunt of this battle for Mosul. Yes. And everyone agrees that the fight to drive Daesh from the remaining parts of the city will be fierce. Now, just as a reminder, folks, we already have about 450 advisors working with Iraq in Mosul. And there's another 200 troops headed to the area. As Iraq increases its offensive in the area, we need to increase the number of advisors so they can be properly advised, assisted, trained if need be. Because, as I've mentioned on the air before, the Iraqi forces are learning. Hey, they've stuck it out. Yes, we're having to hold their hand, but they have stuck it out longer than before. I've seen estimates of Mosul falling in weeks. I don't know. I can't find a good, reliable source on that. I've seen it rumored and mentioned, but I can't get a definite. Now, CENTCOM is calling for more artillery troops. They're saying more artillery troops may be needed in Raqqa. And General Votel told Congress more troops may need to support the Syrian Democratic Forces to capture Raqqa. Yes, we're switching gears here. We're now talking Raqqa. And this statement came during testimony before the House Armed Services Committee. Votel said U.S. forces may need to increase all-weather fire support. That's the military term for artillery support. Now, if you recall, we have Marines in Syria providing this support. They may have to expand beyond the Marines. They may have to send more Marines. I don't like to hear of the loss of any soldier from either the United States or one of our coalition partners. However, I can stomach even less the brutal acts of Daesh and how they have treated people. All right, let's get out of the Middle East, please. Got a couple of semi-related things. Well, we're not getting necessarily out of the Middle East, but we're going to shift gears, okay? For those of you who have not heard, Kim Jong-nam's body has been returned to North Korea. It may not be on the ground in Pyongyang yet, but the body was released and handed over to North Korean diplomats. 9 Malaysians held in North Korea returned to Malaysia's capital early on Friday after the government released the body of Kim Jong-nam, the estranged half-brother of North Korea's leader, Kim Jong-un. And you know how I feel about Kim Jong-un? He is a lunatic in the North, and this is about how I think he comes across. That's right, he is quackers. There were no details have been released on what led to the breakthrough, but North Korea appeared to win some important concessions, custody of the body, and release of at least 2 suspects who'd been holed up in its embassy in Kuala Lumpur. The Malaysians, 3 embassy workers and 6 family members, including 4 children, were flown home in a government jet and greeted by Foreign Minister Anif Aman at the airport early on Friday. Anif said the safe return reflected diplomacy at its best, but declined to provide further details. North Korea has been performing despicable deeds around the world, such as kidnapping and assassination, for decades. And I'm going to pull this audio clip again. I know I've used it, but it still gets me. Come on. The fact that North Korea tried to blame their problems on United States and South Korea just cracks me up. Now, their English isn't the greatest, and it's a little hard to hear, so I'm going to pump up the volume a little bit. Let's see if we can get it out to you good and clear, or as clear as I can make it. Hang on, let me...
North Korea, as the ranking member also...
We'll let that one
North
play.
Korea, as the ranking member also pointed out, poses an imminent and unpredictable threat, not just to its neighbors, but now to the continental United States.
That was a brief clip from a congressional hearing that I believe I used yesterday. That was not the one I was looking for. Here's the audio clip I was looking for, where North Korea blames the U.S. for Kim Jong-nam.
From A to Z, this case is the product of reckless moves of the United States and South Korean authority aimed to meet the dangerous political purpose to tarnish the image of the dignified GPRK and bring down the social system in it.
Now, I've got 2 more stories I'm going to do, and remember, we are going out on taps tonight. And for you regular listeners, if you're just joining us, that means the Department of Defense has identified a casualty. All right, this story made me want to scream. I just about needed duct tape to keep my head from exploding. All right, now this person has been the subject of controversy before. I personally think his comments are absolutely reprehensible, but I want to bring them to you, and here's why before I bring it up. This man, despite how I feel about what he said, which I think makes him look like an idiot, the fact that he has the right to say these things is why we are the greatest nation on earth. An anti-white Drexel professor said he was disgusted that a fellow traveler gave up their seat in first class for a uniformed member of the military. Okay. George Cicerello, a visiting researcher at the National Autonomous University of Mexico, who had a bad taste in his mouth after witnessing this act of kindness. Some guy just gave up his first-class seat for a uniformed soldier. People are thanking him. I'm trying not to vomit or yell, Mosul. And that's according to a tweet from Cicerello a couple of days ago. As you can imagine, parts of the Twitterverse have been going absolutely bonkers. Now, various people had various things to say back to him on Twitter that I cannot read on air, but I found this one interesting. Cicerello apparently blocked a Washington Times columnist, Madison Gacetto. She wrote, quote unquote, maybe he's busy vomiting. Now, this isn't Cicerello's first time he's drawn condemned ire for his tweets and comments. In 2015, yes, 2015, Cicerello wrote in December, abolish the white race, put into practice what many white Americans already think. He wanted for Christmas white genocide. Now, I cannot tell you how reprehensible those comments are. I cannot even begin to go there. Now, the professor did give a statement to the media, which reads in part, 2 days after the airstrikes incinerated an estimated 200 civilians in the Iraqi city of Mosul, I sent a personal tweet in reaction to what I considered a smug and self-congratulatory gesture by a first-class passenger toward a uniformed soldier. Maybe predictably, my tweet has since been read into and misrepresented by the outrage machine that is right-wing media. Needless to say, my personal views expressed off-campus have nothing to do with those of my employer, Drexel University. Now, Drexel came back, and I'm going to read their statement, okay? And then we're going to do our press release and taps and honor the military. A Drexel University spokesman told the media that the professor's comments are his own opinions and do not represent the university's views. Drexel is committed to vigorously supporting our ROTC students, student veterans, and alumni who have served in the military. Our support for student veterans has helped us create an inclusive campus that honors service and Drexel's deep connection to American military history. Drexel, I hope that's right. I hope that's accurate. Alright, just as a reminder, folks, you can follow me on Twitter at Jessies POV. You can follow the station at Jessies POV, or the station at KLRN Radio. You can find the website at KLRNRadio.com. And don't forget, this show is available on iTunes, Google Play, and many other places where podcasts are found. And if you're old-fashioned and you want to shoot me an email, you can do so at jessiespov at KLRNRadio.com. The Department of Defense announced today the death of an airman who was supporting Operation Inherent Resolve. Staff Sergeant Austin Beeran, 25, of Umatilla, Oregon, died March 28th in northern Syria in a non-combat related incident while deployed in support of combat operations. He was assigned to the 21st Space Wing at Peterson Air Force Base, Colorado. Thank you for your service, Staff Sergeant.